and I got Rich, one of our level 1 instructors with Phase 3 High Desert Survival, working on trying to get some desert survival training going. And one of the things that we don't talk about a lot in the survival industry is hygiene. And so Rich here today is going to show us an awesome plant here in the upland desert to help you with your hygiene. So talk to us a little bit. Talk to us a little bit, Rich, about what our plant is here, and we're going to show you guys how to use it.
Okay, what we have is a cactus that most people call different. There are different names for it, but this is actually a Spanish sword or dagger. But this is actually the narrow leaf yucca. And what we're going to do is we're going to try and expose the root. We're going to take the root out, cut part of it off. We're going to cut the end of it off, put the plant back because we don't want to destroy the habitat, and it will grow again. And then what we'll do is we'll get a rock or something to mash our end with and show you how we can actually make soap that you can wash your hair with, that you keep your hands and your body clean while you're out in the backcountry.
Just don't want to pull it towards my face.
It's down there. Let's see which way the thing's coming my way, is it? Or something.
So.
Oh, you already cut it off?
Yeah, I think we got plenty here.
Yeah. Okay, now that we've exposed the root, we want to wash off, get the dirt off, kind of cut that dark brown part off. But what's nice about this is we'll take the root, we'll cut the end of it off, and we can actually plant this cactus again, and it will grow. So we're not hurting the environment or the plant itself. So we'll go ahead and do that now. Okay, now that we've washed it off, we're going to cut this off, and we want to be able to kind of just go over here and kind of put it on this end here. See if we can't cut off. It gets kind of fibrous, so we want to make sure we get a good cut on it. So what actually makes this happen, once we clean this off, this plant has saponins in it, and that's what actually gives it its soap-like qualities. So that when you get this, it will foam up and it will look like soap when we're done. And the process is fairly simple, but we want to make sure we get a lot of this brown stuff off so that when we start processing it a little more, we will be able to see the soap or the suds coming out of the plant itself. So what we want to do is find yourself a nice thin smooth stone, kind of a blunt end to it, so that when you start processing, all you do is you start mashing this end, and see how we're doing this. By the time you get done, and it doesn't take much, so what we'll do is we'll just go ahead and mash this, and we got it mashed up enough. We're going to see down in the center. When we start seeing those fibers, and you can feel the soap coming on your hands now, so we'll go ahead and process just a little bit more. And we'll go ahead and process this to where we want to be able to kind of mash it up, and I think we're just about good there. So we'll get some water on it, and we'll go ahead and, if you see it, it's starting to come up with soap on it. And remember the old barber style of shaving? It's similar to that. You get a little brush going, you get in your fingers, get underneath nails, so you get up underneath there, and it will get the fingers. You can also use this for shampoo, but if you see, that bubbles up quite well. And you can use this time and time again until it runs out, and go get yourself another cactus. So we can do this for our hands, our hair, for our armpits, and for our whole body. So now you can see, I've only rubbed it for just a few minutes, how much soap actually comes out of this root. Now what I'll do is I'll put this in my pack, and I'll put it in a container or a Ziploc bag, and I'll use it for, time and time again.
So when harvesting this thin leaf yucca or this bayonet yucca, you got to be real careful. And so what I do is I'll push all the needles back that I don't want to harvest, and then that gives me access to the center. And I go down as far as I can, because the farther I go down, the longer my needle and thread will be. And that right there will make a good long needle and thread. So once you've harvested your bayonet yucca, the thin leaf yucca, now it's time to start processing it. The very tip is your needle. It is super sharp, super pointy, and it will pierce through your clothing. But what I need to do is remove all the excess. So I'll come in with my knife and I'll cut away the edges that I'm not going to need. You can leave them, you can clean them up a lot less and just remove all the outer fiber out of the outer casing to get more thread if you're needing to make it thicker. But if I just need a little bit of thread, then I'm going to go ahead and remove some of this excess. It's going to make it easier for me to process out. So I've removed the sides, the excess, for my needle and thread. And now I'm going to go ahead and hold the tip. I don't want to break the tip off. And going to use my knife and begin to strip it away. Just stripping off the outer casing. And if you lose some fibers, it's not the end of the world. There are tons of fibers packed into this. And you're going to begin to see all these little fibers begin to develop. And there's tons of them. So once you do one side, flip it over and do the other side. And there's probably some easier ways of doing this. This is just the way I do it and the way I know how. But you're welcome to post in the comment section some other ways if you have experience with this. But if not, then I encourage you. This way works very effective, and you're getting rid of all those excess fibers that we just don't need. We want the core fibers at the center. And so we'll keep processing this down, and it's just a matter of scraping it out, putting the plant fibers against your knife flat and pushing into it and running it down and stripping it out some, getting rid of those plant fibers. And you'll know when you're getting there when all the green outer casing is off. So this tells me I still got some on there, and you can wash it and clean it up to get the fibers cleaner. But mostly this is for quick repairs to help you get by in the bush until you can get some needle and thread. So I've processed out a couple of these. This is one that's really clean and white, and here's the other one. It could be processed out a little bit more, but I just wanted to show you with my shirt here how easy this punctures through the clothing. So here's my needle. And here it is puncturing through the clothing. And this will work for most of your gear bags and everything else. So here, if I needed to stitch it, I could run a running stitch through the clothing and be good to go. So here's an example of our running stitch to make any type of repairs on your clothing. Well, that wraps it up, guys, on the needle and thread from the bayonet yucca or the thin leaf yucca. I encourage you guys to please be sure to share, subscribe, and stay tuned for future updates about training opportunities here out in the upland deserts of Arizona.